Every year, Fogmere Cove disappears beneath a thick, ghostly mist, but this time, something came with it. Whispers speak of monsters walking the shore, of shadows with glowing eyes and claws scratching at windows. As panic spreads and the town seals itself in fear, a battered van rolls into view. Mystery Incorporated has arrived, but even they don't know if what's in the fog is real, or something far worse. The sea hissed against the rocks like it was whispering secrets. Fogmere Cove, a sleepy coastal town with salt-stained rooftops and shuttered windows, was slowly being swallowed by a thick, silvery fog. It had rolled in suddenly, too fast, too dense, swallowing boats, lampposts, and even sound. By morning, no one dared to walk the docks. By nightfall, something started knocking on doors. Inside the town diner, the only place still open, the locals sat in uneasy silence. Mugs of coffee shook in trembling hands as Sheriff Dawson slammed the phone down for the third time that morning. "Lines are dead." "Again," he muttered. From a corner booth, a deep voice broke through. "Maybe it's better that way, man. If I could call for help, I'd probably just order a pizza and hide under a table." Shaggy Rogers slouched deeper into the booth beside Scooby-Doo, who was nervously licking syrup from a stack of pancakes he wasn't sure he'd ordered. Velma adjusted her glasses while scanning her notes, and Daphne checked her phone, frowning. "Weird," Daphne said. "Still no signal. Not even a bar." Velma tapped her pen against the table. "The fog's interfering with the electrical grid somehow. And did you notice the humidity? It's unnaturally cold." A waitress leaned in, whispering, "Some folks are saying the monsters are back. We had stories, old fisherman tales. Things that rise when the fog comes. Last night, Old Man Crenshaw said he saw a creature with glowing green eyes dragging seaweed all over the dock." Shaggy gulped. "Green glowing eyes? That's usually our cue to run, not investigate." Fred emerged from the diner's backroom, brushing off his jacket. "I checked the storeroom. No power, freezer's busted. Something's definitely wrong here." Sheriff Dawson approached the group, rubbing the back of his neck. "I don't know what you kids plan to do, but if you're sticking around, you'd best be careful. I've already got 2 missing, teenagers from the Lighthouse Road. Vanished. And no one's seen Crenshaw today either." Fred exchanged a look with Velma. "Then we better start there. The docks." Scooby whined softly, his ears drooping. "Roo-ah. Roo-rain." "There's no rain, Scoob," Shaggy muttered. "But I've got a bad feeling in my kneecaps, and those never lie." The team left the diner and made their way down the silent main road. Buildings stood like shadows in the fog, their windows dark and hollow. As they approached the marina, a strange humming filled the air, faint, almost mechanical. The fog seemed thicker here, moving unnaturally, curling around their ankles like fingers. Velma bent down, inspecting a strange device partially hidden in a crab trap. "Fred, this isn't just weather. Someone's pumping the fog." Fred examined the small machine. "Looks like a modified fog generator. Industrial. But why?" "To scare people," Velma said. "To make them believe something supernatural's going on. Classic misdirection." Daphne pointed toward the end of the pier. "Guys, there's someone out there." A silhouette stood at the water's edge. Tall. Still. Watching. Then, 2 glowing green eyes flickered in the mist. "Zoinks!" Shaggy yelped. "Told you. Kneecaps never lie." Before they could move, the figure sprinted toward them with inhuman speed, limbs jerking unnaturally, emitting a hollow growl. Scooby and Shaggy bolted. Fred stepped forward to intercept, but the figure vanished mid-charge, dissolving into mist. "What was that?" Daphne gasped. Velma knelt again, brushing her hand across the damp boards. No footprints. Nothing. And the mist, it's colder where the figure stood. Fred frowned. It's not just a fog machine. This thing, whatever it is. It's designed to project something. An illusion? Daphne asked. Or a distraction, Velma said. Someone's trying to make the whole town panic. They turned back to the road, but their van, parked just minutes ago, was gone. In its place, scratched into the pavement, were long claw marks and a trail of seaweed leading toward the cliffs. Shaggy's voice echoed in the fog. Guys? The van's gone. And so is Scooby. The trail of seaweed curled like a serpent up the rocky path. Fred crouched near the claw marks etched into the pavement where the mystery machine once stood, brushing his fingers over them. Too deep for an animal. These were carved. Deliberate. Velma scanned the fog-choked distance. Which means someone wanted us to follow. And they took Scooby, Daphne added, her voice tight. Whoever, or whatever, this is, it just got personal. A gust of cold sea wind cut through their jackets as they followed the trail toward the cliffs. The mist grew thicker, pressing in like a wall, muffling their footsteps and the sound of crashing waves below. The rocky path wound along the coast like a scar, marked by tufts of seaweed and strange, round footprints, three-toed and clawed. Fred led the way with a flashlight, its beam weak and pale against the unnatural fog. Keep close. If this is a trap, we're not walking into it alone. From above, the jagged silhouette of an abandoned watchtower loomed into view. It jutted from the cliff's edge like a rotted tooth, its structure barely holding against years of salt and storms. And inside, something moved. Velma pointed. I saw it. Second-floor window. There's someone up there. They approached cautiously. The iron gate creaked open without resistance, revealing a narrow staircase leading upward. Broken glass crunched underfoot. The interior reeked of mildew and something else, something metallic. Fred raised a hand. Listen. A faint, echoing whine filtered down the stairs. A mechanical hum. Then, a voice. I warned you, it was distorted, robotic, yet oddly human. Velma turned to Fred. That voice, it's being projected. Artificial. The team climbed slowly. Each step groaned with age, threatening to collapse. As they reached the second floor, the fog spilled in through broken windows like smoke. In the center of the room stood a large, humming device wired to metal panels nailed along the walls. Velma moved to examine it. This is military-grade tech. Atmospheric emitters, light projectors. Someone's building illusions, monsters, from sound and light inside the fog. But who would have access to this kind of equipment? Daphne asked. A sudden thump sounded from above, the tower's top floor. Fred motioned silently, and they crept up the final flight of stairs. There, shackled to a rusty pipe and wrapped in fishing nets, was Scooby-Doo, whimpering softly. Raggy, he moaned. Daphne rushed to free him. He's okay. Just scared. But Fred's eyes narrowed. Wait. If Scooby's here, then who? A loud clang echoed behind them. The stairway had collapsed. Trapped. Then, a loudspeaker crackled to life. You were warned. But now, the fog belongs to me. The entire tower shuddered as vents in the walls expelled more mist, flooding the room. Lights flickered. Shadows twisted unnaturally. One of them grew, taller. Guys, Velma said, backing up. The projector's activating. From the fog, a towering creature emerged. Glowing green eyes. Long claws. Its voice layered and inhuman. Leave this place, or disappear forever. Fred grabbed the emitter's panel, trying to shut it down. It's overriding the controls. Daphne covered Scooby. We need another way out. Velma noticed a crack in the stone wall. The cliffside. There's an old maintenance hatch. Maybe it leads out. The gang scrambled to the side wall as the creature stalked forward, flickering in and out like a glitch. Fred shoved the panel aside and kicked open the hidden hatch. Cold air rushed in as they clambered into a narrow stone tunnel built into the cliff's interior. Behind them, the illusion hissed, "You cannot run. The fog sees all." As they emerged on the other side, just above the crashing surf, the watchtower behind them pulsed with strange lights. Fred turned to Velma. "Someone's using military tech to terrorize this town. The fog. The illusions. The missing people, it's all connected." Velma adjusted her glasses. "I think it's more than just scaring people. There's a pattern in the locations, the docks, the tower, the cliffs. Someone's marking key points." Daphne looked around. "But for what?" Fred clenched his jaw. "We need to get back to town. Warn the sheriff. Whoever this is, they're not done yet." Scooby licked Daphne's cheek. "I'll rank you." "Don't thank us yet, Scoob," Shaggy said, emerging from behind a rock, pale and shaking. "I just saw something slithering near the beach, and it wasn't a projector." The lighthouse's rhythmic pulse cut through the fog like a heartbeat, steady and hollow. From their vantage point near the dunes, Fred, Velma, Daphne, Shaggy, and Scooby watched as beams of light scanned the shoreline, briefly illuminating the crumbling remains of a mansion half buried in sand. "That's where Old Man Greeley used to live," Daphne whispered. "Before he disappeared 10 years ago." Velma's brow furrowed. "Wasn't that the same year the coastal military base was decommissioned?" Fred nodded. "Too much coincidence. And if someone's staging these fog monsters, they need a central hub. That house may be it." Shaggy gulped. Why can't we ever investigate a pizza parlor or something?" Scooby nodded. "Ariza." Fred led the group down a narrow path between the dunes. The closer they got, the more unnatural the silence became. No seagulls. No waves. Just fog, thick and unmoving, as if the house itself were exhaling it. Inside, the air was heavy with mold and something else, ozone. The walls were lined with decaying wallpaper, but beneath the peeling surface, Velma noticed something strange, metallic wiring embedded into the wood. "More of the same tech," she murmured. "This whole house is wired like a control center." They moved cautiously through the dust-choked halls. In the parlor, a rusted gramophone began playing by itself, an eerie melody warped by time. Scooby growled low. In the adjoining study, Fred discovered a floor hatch sealed with an industrial lock. Velma kneeled beside it, inspecting the mechanism. Military grade. Same as the projector tower. Whoever's behind this has serious clearance, or they stole it. Shaggy looked around nervously. "Guys. I think we're being watched." Before Fred could answer, a sudden bang echoed from upstairs. Heavy footsteps. Then, whispers. Daphne tensed. Not fog illusions. Someone's here. Fred motioned for silence and led them up the creaking staircase. At the end of the hallway stood a partially open door, flickering light leaking from inside. As they neared it, a voice reached them, clear, urgent, familiar. "It's all real. The projectors were just the beginning." They burst in. Sitting at an old desk, surrounded by monitors and blueprints, was a gaunt, bearded man, eyes bloodshot, face pale. He looked up, startled. "You shouldn't be here," he rasped. "They'll hear you." Velma stepped forward. "Who are you?" "Name's Harold Greeley," the man muttered. "Son of Old Man Greeley. I used to work at the base. Then I found out what they were building." Fred narrowed his eyes. The fog machines? Greeley shook his head. No. That's just surface tech. What they were really testing was perception control. Sound, light, electromagnetic waves, tools to manipulate reality. Make people see what isn't there. Hear what they fear most. Daphne whispered, weaponized fear. Greeley pointed to a map. There are 3 main emitters, the watchtower, the shipwreck, and the house. Together, they blanket the town in a sensory net. But why now? Velma asked. Why activate it again after all these years? Greeley looked at them, haunted. Because someone perfected it. And they're not using it to scare people anymore. They're preparing to control them. Just then, the monitors crackled. One by one, they showed people in town stumbling through the streets, eyes vacant, following whispers in the fog. Children left their homes. Storekeepers abandoned their shops. It's begun, Greeley whispered. Phase 2. Shaggy trembled. We gotta stop it, right? Right? Scooby barked in agreement. Aruro. Fred turned to Greeley. How do we shut it down? You'll need to disable the emitters simultaneously, he said. But if even one stays active, the system adapts and reroutes the signal. Daphne's eyes widened. Then we split up. Velma hesitated. Are you sure? It's risky. Fred nodded. We don't have a choice. Every second, more people fall under the influence. Greeley handed them a set of blueprints. Here. You'll need to access the base's underground relay center to cut the master power. It's buried under the cliffs. Locked behind a retinal scanner, mine. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the house. Dust rained from the ceiling. The monitors went black. Greeley stood, panicked. They found me. From outside, a low growl echoed across the dunes, growing louder, closer. Velma looked to Fred. We split now or never. Fred pointed. Daphne and I will take the shipwreck. Velma, take Scooby and Shaggy to the watchtower. Greeley comes with me after the house. We rendezvous at the cliffs in 1 hour. They all nodded. As the fog thickened outside, shapes began to form within it, new ones. Larger. More human. But their eyes glowed. The watchtower loomed through the thick fog like a ghostly sentinel, its silhouette barely visible against the swirling mist. Velma led Shaggy and Scooby cautiously toward the iron gate, clutching the blueprints tightly. The air was damp, filled with the sharp scent of salt and something metallic, a reminder that the fog carried more than just cold air. We're close, Velma whispered, but the emitter's signal is stronger here. We need to be quick. Shaggy shivered, glancing nervously over his shoulder. I don't like how quiet it is. Too quiet. Scooby whimpered, ears flat. Ariki, Velma adjusted her glasses. We can't afford distractions. The emitter here manipulates sound waves, it's creating those eerie whispers that have been driving people mad. A sudden rustle came from the bushes nearby. Scooby growled low, stepping protectively in front of Shaggy. A shadow flickered, and a figure emerged from the fog. It was a man, disheveled and pale, eyes glazed. You shouldn't be here, he rasped, voice hollow. Velma took a step forward. Are you under the fog's influence? The man shook his head slowly, then collapsed to the ground, twitching. The fog, it's not just illusions, it's controlling us. Before Velma could react, the ground beneath them trembled. From the fog, the looming silhouette of a monster flickered into view, taller than any before, with eyes glowing a sinister red. Shaggy yelped. Zoinks! That's not a projector. Scooby barked fiercely. Ah! Velma shouted, head for the tower. We need to disable the emitter now. They dashed toward the watchtower's entrance, the creature in pursuit. The ancient iron gate screeched open, and they scrambled up the winding staircase, heartbeats pounding with every step. Inside the control room, Velma immediately set to work, fingers flying over the console covered in blinking lights and tangled wires. "I'm trying to override the system, but it's resisting." Shaggy peered through the cracked window. "The thing's still out there, waiting." Scooby whimpered in the corner, ears twitching. Suddenly, the door slammed shut, and the lights flickered. The room plunged into darkness except for the eerie glow of the console. "Velma, watch out!" Shaggy yelled. The monster's shadow loomed under the doorframe, distorting the fog outside. Velma's fingers danced frantically over the keyboard, trying to hack the military system. "I've almost got it, just a few more seconds." With a final keystroke, the console sparked and the hum of the emitter faded. The fog seemed to shudder, the monster flickering and dissolving like mist under sunlight. But then, a chilling voice echoed through the tower's speakers. "You may think you've won, but the fog is only the beginning." Velma froze. "It's a message. They're taunting us." Meanwhile, at the shipwreck, Fred and Daphne navigated the treacherous rocks, blueprints in hand. They had to reach the second emitter before it could reactivate. "Daphne, keep your eyes open," Fred whispered. "The fog's thickening." Suddenly, from the mist, a group of townsfolk appeared, their eyes glazed and movements jerky. "Don't let them get close," Daphne warned. Fred grabbed a fallen branch and shouted, "Back off. We're here to help." But the fog-controlled townspeople advanced, murmuring in unison, "The fog protects us, the fog reveals the truth." Fred and Daphne struggled to hold their ground, but the numbers overwhelmed them. Back at the dunes, Greely's frantic radio crackled. "You must hurry. The last emitter, the base relay, is critical. Without it, everything will collapse, but the fog, it's evolving." Shaggy, trembling, whispered to Scooby, "I don't want to be a hero, but here we are." The fog thickened, swallowing the horizon. The underground relay center lay beneath jagged cliffs, hidden by decades of silence and sand. Fred, Velma, Daphne, Shaggy, Scooby, and Harold Greeley converged here, the tension thick in the damp air. Outside, the fog churned and pulsed like a living entity, casting ghostly shadows on the cracked concrete walls. "According to these blueprints, the main power source is right beneath us," Greeley whispered, his eyes flicking nervously toward the steel vault door. "But the security systems are active, retinal scanners, pressure sensors. I'm the only one who can get us in." Velma checked her tablet, "We don't have much time. The fog is expanding faster than we predicted." "Everyone ready?" Fred asked. Shaggy gulped. "Ready as I'll ever be. Let's get this over with." Greeley placed his eye against the scanner. The mechanism hummed and clicked, then the heavy door slowly creaked open. Inside, the room was bathed in dim red light. Control panels flickered with encrypted codes, and massive cables snaked into the rocky walls. The smell of ozone and old machinery filled the air. "Here's the relay," Greeley said, pointing. "Cut the power and the fog system shuts down." Velma rushed to the panel, beginning to decipher the codes. Suddenly, a distorted voice echoed through the chamber speakers. "You think you can stop progress? The fog will cleanse this town. Fear is evolution." Fred's jaw tightened. "Show yourself." From the shadows emerged a figure, tall, clad in a dark cloak, face obscured by a high collar. A man's voice, cold and calculated. "I am the architect of this nightmare. Your little investigations were amusing, but futile." Velma stared. "Why are you doing this? What do you gain from terrorizing an entire town?" The figure chuckled darkly. "Control. Power. The ability to shape reality itself. Fear is the ultimate weapon." Shaggy trembled, gripping Scooby's collar. Like, we won't let you win. Fred stepped forward, you'll never control people through fear. Not while we're here. With a flick of his wrist, the cloaked man activated a panel, sending a surge of energy through the room. The fog outside swelled violently, pressing against the windows like a living tide. Velma's fingers flew over the controls, but the system resisted her commands. Greeley, can you override the lockdown? She asked urgently. Greeley nodded, sweat dripping down his forehead. I'm trying, but he's reinforced the encryption. We need to work together. The room shook as the fog's power grew. The figure advanced, eyes gleaming with cruel satisfaction. Suddenly, Scooby and Shaggy darted forward, causing a distraction. Ruro! Time to scram! Scooby yipped. Fred grabbed a loose cable, swinging it to trip the figure. Daphne rushed to Velma's side, helping to bypass the last security node. With a triumphant beep, the system powered down. The red lights flickered and died. Outside, the fog began to dissipate, retreating like a receding tide. The cloaked figure stumbled, his control slipping away. Not yet, he hissed, but his form began to blur, fading into nothingness. Greeley exhaled deeply. It's over. As the first rays of dawn pierced the horizon, the town slowly woke from its nightmare. People emerged from their homes, confused but free. Fred turned to the group. We stopped the fog, but the scars will remain. Velma smiled softly. Fear can never win when people stand together. Shaggy grinned. And maybe next time, we'll investigate something less creepy. Like a haunted pizza joint. Scooby laughed, Roo-ha. The team shared a relieved look, knowing that though the night was dark, their friendship was stronger, and the mystery solved.